wholeness, high vibrations, and greatness. Welcome here to this interview. Welcome to this session. Welcome. What up, world? What up, everyone? Welcome here to this session. I am excited to have you here today. Once again, we have yet another special guest here on the show today. Look, I'm your host, Mr. Michael Overdeliver Baptiste, continuing to bring you inspiration, information, transformation, all of that greatness. And I'm so excited today. Not only do we have a special guest here today, but ladies and gentlemen, we have somebody here that is going to be sharing something that is, wow. I mean, this person, they've transformed their lives, and I'm so excited to share their story with you. So just a little bit about our special guest that we have on here today. We are speaking with the Resiliency Queen, Miss Kristin Brooke, in the building, aka DJ Boss in the building. She's an author. She is a speaker. She is an entertainer. She's not going to tell you this, but she is an entrepreneur as well. Okay. She's a fresh entrepreneur, fresh in the space. And she helps people that have gone through traumatic events build up their resiliency so they can live a life they deserve. You know what I mean? Like that healing. She's helping people heal. She's doing amazing work, ladies and gentlemen. One of her superpowers is resilience and joy. Okay, she is known as the Resiliency Queen. Please tap in with the Resiliency Queen. And just so you know that her debut book is entitled I Choose Joy. Okay, I Choose Joy. And this book details her decision to elevate herself after an assault and after escaping human trafficking to regain her own joy and happiness. She has an amazing story. She has an amazing testimony of overcoming so many things and of getting results with her online business and activating her online business. So look, world, please help me. Look, wherever you're at, I don't care if you're driving, if you're walking, if you're sitting down listening, please stop. Give us a round of applause for our special guest today. Please meet Miss Kristin Brooke. Kristin, how are you today?
Thank you. I am wonderful. That was amazing. Thank you for such a lovely introduction. I'm so happy to be here. I feel so grateful.
Oh, yes. Thank you for the words. You're welcome. It is a pleasure to have you, and you truly are special, and I'm excited to share your story with the world. So look, without any further ado, because I know everybody's like, all right, Mike, you always bring on some really cool guests, but how is she so special? Like what? So Kristin, could you tell us a little bit more about your story, about, where you come from and some of the things that you've overcome in your life?
Absolutely. So I grew up in a small town, capital city of Michigan, Lansing, Michigan. And in this small town, I went to school where I was one of very few minorities in the school. So predominantly white schools or Caucasian schools. And I had incidents of bias and microaggressions as a young child growing up until I graduated from high school, even to the point where I had incidents where teachers would tell me, Michael, you're on the bubble of whether or not we're going to keep you in regular math or allow you to go to our accelerated math class. And we don't have enough desks for you. But luckily I had a mom that said, then if that's the case, we'll buy her a desk. You're going to make space for our daughter. And the school found a desk because they didn't want to be embarrassed that this family is buying a desk for their child. What that school didn't know is that I actually attended college for a summer program in 4th and 5th grade. So I've always been on the gifted side, if you will. I've always been eager to learn, curious about things that I could learn more about. And I attended those courses in the summer when I was 9 and 10 years old at Michigan State University. And I ended up going to Michigan State University where I got my bachelor's degree in political science. And I've always had a love for government, for debate, and for rights, and for how things are distributed fairly and equitably. I went to law school for 2 terms. And at that point, I was a single mom. I had a daughter that was in kindergarten and struggling to read. And I decided that I wanted to be a good mom. And instead of me falling asleep in my book night after night, I decided to help her read. And I dropped out of law school and said I can always go back. Soon after I made that decision, Michael and everyone else, I went to California. I spent 2 weeks in Los Angeles there. And while I was there in California, I realized that was not the place for me to raise my daughter. Her asthma was really, really bad. She was at the point where she could almost not breathe. And I decided that I was going to move to Arizona. And I lived in Arizona for almost a year. And eventually, one of the most difficult times in my life was the experience of someone coming to my door, inviting me to a barbecue, me deciding to go. And then by the time I made it home, me feeling guilty because I had been sexually assaulted. And I did not know how to deal with that. I did not know who to tell. I did not know if I should report it or if I should just try to ignore it. But then it got worse. I went to work the next day trying to remain in this shell of who I was the day before, so drastically different and so drastically injured, only to come home and that man is standing there at my doorstep waiting for me to assault me again. And yet again, I decided, okay, I can't. I'm not ready to tell anyone that this is happening to me. How could I let this happen twice? At that point, I had gotten invited to a gang party, which I was terrified that if this could happen at a barbecue with him and in my own home, that I could potentially have this happen to me by an entire gang. And I was able to talk my way out of going to a gang party. Went to work the next day, came home, he wasn't there. And I thought, I'm going to sweep this under the rug. As I'm at home, there's a knock on my door, and the knock becomes a pounding, and the pounding doesn't stop. And I think to myself, not again. I go to the door, I look out the peephole, and it's him. And I walk away from the door thinking, I'm just going to ignore this. I'm just going to ignore it, and maybe it'll go away. It didn't stop. And it got to the point where I was like, my neighbors are going to complain. I'm going to get kicked out. I'm struggling financially. Where would I go if I get kicked out of this apartment due to a noise violation? I open the door. He forces his way in and he tells me, it's a good thing you answered the door because you live on the second floor. I would have climbed up on your balcony and broke through your balcony door. That's when I knew I can't really fight this. And I took a leave of absence from my job. It got to the point eventually that I was dating a man in the military. And I told him, if you don't hear from me on Monday, it's because they're planning on doing something. They're planning on moving. And I know of a carload of people that they stole from another human trafficker's house. That's what I have understood from me speaking Spanish. And I was able to receive a flight home. And I had to figure out how to get back to the old me. And what I know now is that, yes, that trauma, it affects your neural pathways, and trauma takes away life from you. Literally, eats away at your neural pathways. It changes your body chemistry and your hormones in your body. And the result, if you don't deal with it, can be an early death. But the good news that I've learned along the way is that you can build resilience. And that's the message that I want to share with the world. That when you build resilience, when you allow yourself to look at things through a new lens and say, I will not let what has hurt me define me to the point where it will cause my death. I'm going to build the way that I think in a new way. And I'm going to see myself from the best light. So instead of the woman that was bruised and hurt and didn't know what to do and didn't make the right decisions, I know now that I was a woman that made the best decision that she could at that time. And that she was strong enough to speak up at a time where it meant life or death. And for that, I deserve credit. And for everyone that has endured trauma, you did what you had to do in order to survive. And now that we're on the other side of it, the message that I have for people is let's keep building that, because that is your resilience. You're already strong. So that's who I am. I'm the Resiliency Queen. I help people understand that it's normal to go through trauma. In fact, 70% of people will endure trauma in their lifetime. 70%.
That's huge.
Yeah. So you're not alone when we say we've gone through a traumatic event. In fact, I think the 30% just don't realize they've gone through a trauma.
Yeah, true, very true. So yeah, 30% of people don't realize that they've been through trauma as well.
Yeah.
Amazing story. Thank you for the message. Thank you for coming and giving us that message. As I was sitting there, just putting myself in your shoes, trying to visualize it. Wow, like what a situation to go through. But what's really incredible is like the fortitude that you had and have to develop that resiliency to overcome the trauma. And now not only have you overcome it, but like you're helping other people get over their trauma. It's so amazing. Just I don't want us to move too far away from your story because it's so amazing, right? But that was the one piece of it where you experienced these assaults and these things like that. But the other part of your story you didn't mention, and it's okay however much you want to go into. But you also mentioned that human trafficking was also a part of that trauma. Like, can you share just a small bit of that? So we can, I guess, I don't know, have a more insight into your story and your world.
Well, so I didn't have to experience what I heard. However, during this experience of being assaulted repeatedly over the course of 9 days, I was able to hear the person that assaulted me speak with his associates in person. And there was one that was in the Army, and I've shared this story with the FBI. There was a member of our military that went to the home of another human trafficker. And because he had a military uniform and a weapon, he was able to tell them, I know what you're doing. I know that you're transporting people and you're trafficking, and they need to come with me. And he laughed at the fact that these people went from one bad situation to another. And that stuck with me. That we are all literally potentially in the hands of abusers. And when we see these missing children, missing women, missing men, missing young boys, we need to be concerned, because Not all of them are dead.
Mm.
But yet, just because they're alive doesn't mean that that's what they are wishing for. And so it is crucial that we recognize that human trafficking is real. I was lucky enough to be on the other side of it, hearing them plot to say we're moving out of this house by Monday. And I knew that in that window, I believe it was Saturday and Sunday that I had to figure out a way to escape this, that my life could be potentially one person, another person added to that mix of people that this person had just bragged about. And so when I say I escaped human trafficking, it was literally that close. It was literally right in front of my eyes. And it's scary. And it seems unreal, especially when you grew up like me. I had a wonderful mom that was a single mother until I was 6.
Mm.
And had it not been for the love that I experienced from birth to 6, I don't know what I would have thought, what I would have done, what I would have believed for myself. Me and my stepfather, who eventually adopted me, we had a rocky start. And I appreciate him now as an adult. I see him from a different lens, but I do realize that between the way that I was treated by him and his mother when I was a child did affect me. And when I learn about the 3 different types of stress, and that toxic stress is the worst one,
Mm-hmm.
then I realized that that's what I endured as a child. No child should feel like they're not good enough. No child should feel like they're not accepted, even by step family, right? You should not feel like your step grandmother, that you don't call step grandmother, you just call her grandma,
Exactly.
right? You should not feel like, oh, that's my step grandchild. Or, no, she's not really mine, you know? Or you get to a point where you have to tell your parents, hey, how come I'm being treated like this, but all the other children are being treated like that? How come they get to go outside and play and I don't? And so all of those things in my mind as a child definitely impacted me. But had it not been for my mother's love and my grandmother, my aunts, and my uncle, my Aunt Tracy, my Aunt Robin, my Uncle Joe, and my Grandpa Branch, oh my gosh, they loved me fiercely, fiercely. And when I say fiercely, I mean fierce love, not fierce, like, not fierce bad way, just intense love. And when I think of good times, I think back to my childhood with them. And they definitely taught me what is unconditional love. But yes, the human trafficking portion of my experience was probably the most scariest, along with understanding that this man and his associates were affiliated with the Bloods, and they were affiliated with another gang that I don't speak of because of how harsh they are known to be. So if you think the Bloods and the Crips are something, there's more to the gang game than just the blue and red. And don't speak of them, because I don't even want to acknowledge that they exist still, as the Resiliency Queen.
Wow. Wow. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why I said we have a special guest with a special message today. I mean, let's for everybody listening, just take a moment to put yourself in Kristin's shoes and think about, what if you were the one experiencing these things? What if you were the one seeing these things, hearing these things, being around these types of people? What if you were the one experiencing this? How would you feel? For those of you who are watching this, if you're watching this live, whether, if you can comment below, how does that make you feel? And so, Kristin, I have so much admiration and respect, for the strength you have to overcome the trauma. But like, if we can look at now that you move forward past it, right? And we're no longer in those situations with these people, these gangs, thank goodness, right? You're safe, you're healthy, you know what I mean? Like you're older, you've grown older, right? So thank goodness you're still alive, some people don't survive through certain things like that. What were some of the tools that you use when you were let's go to that dark moment, right? Where like nobody's there, it's you, it's the aftermath, maybe you got tears on your face or like all these emotions bottled up, right? And then you're maybe about to like go off the deep end and lose it. Mm-hmm. But then you figure something out, you find the tools. I don't know what you found, right? But you figure something. Like, can you talk to us about when you were in that space, that dark space? And can you talk to us about what were the tools, the thoughts, people, whatever, like what helped you get out of that dark space after all of that trauma? Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Absolutely. So the dark space, that sadness, intense depression, disbelief, that's real. I had moments where I would go to counseling and cry afterwards. And at first I didn't have a car. All I came back home with was a suitcase with enough clothes in it for me and my daughter. Most of our clothes and her toys. She was 6 years old. So toys gone, clothes pretty much gone, a pair of shoes each. No furniture. Luckily, my mom came to pick me up from the airport and I had nothing left. I literally started over. But what helped was writing. I literally only had to find a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil or a crayon. Didn't matter. Drawing helped. Initially, crying helped the most. When you're going through something, you have to acknowledge the emotions that you have. Feel the pain, feel the hurt, feel the anger, feel the rage, the fear. Acknowledge all of it. And then make a decision to move past it. And that does not happen overnight. For me, it was friends saying, I think something's happened to her. Because literally, I told my boyfriend, I need to get out of here by Monday or I don't think I'm going to be alive. And he literally took that as somebody's going to kill her, but not thinking of all the other things that might have happened prior. And it took a conference call with one of my female friends to say, you're so quiet. You're not like yourself. You're so reserved. You're typically bubbly. That wasn't happening. And so she said, have you been raped? And I said yes. And as soon as I said yes, I knew I couldn't go back. I couldn't lie about it anymore. I couldn't hold it down. Now someone actually knew the truth. But that was the turning point towards healing. So being honest with someone who cares is crucial. But also, I realized in that moment that I had to decide to care for myself. Because I could have said, oh no, that didn't happen, right? But the only person that would remain hurt would be me. And so they helped me find counseling. Literally had nothing. So I had no money. Remember, I took a leave of absence from my job, so I had no income coming in. And I ended up going to counseling at my alma mater for free. And this lady named Jackie sat with me at Planned Parenthood. Yes, Planned Parenthood does things other than abortion. They help women that have been sexually assaulted get testing and to be able to check their reproductive health. And she sat with me while I got tested and held my hand. And then we had normal counseling sessions. And all of that helped. But then there was a day, when you talk about this dark place, there was a day that I sat at a park, and after meeting with Jackie, I cried. I cried and I cried and I cried. And I literally could not stop crying. And it's kind of like you have that thought, or some people say you hear a voice, or there was that still small voice, right? Where I said I could keep crying forever. I could literally cry forever. I realized I could cry forever. But what good is that going to do? And I had my why me moments prior to that and after. But I knew the answer to that was, why not me? It could happen to anyone. So why not me? And if I can cry forever, then why am I going to do it if it's not going to do any good? And in that moment, I had to make a decision. I made a decision that I was going to fight for my joy, for my happiness, for my peace of mind. And I was going to be able to laugh again someday. I was not able to laugh that day, but I knew I would make a decision that someday I was going to be able to just laugh and not be so serious and not be so tense. And that's part of building the resilience. I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know what to call it, but I knew I was making a decision. And so eventually I got a job, and I bought a notebook, I had a pen, and I started writing. And that's where I wrote my book, I Choose Joy. I had journal entries where I was sharing with whoever was going to read it someday what it felt like to be someone that had went through something. And I wrote poetry. And when I thought in Spanish, because I literally had left a job where 90% of the day I was speaking in Spanish. So there were times where I would write in Spanish, and I left most of that in Spanish in the book. But the book is bilingual to some extent. And I decided I was going to write because I had always loved writing. And there were times where I would just draw, and I would be so angry, and I just had literally take the pen and tear the page with the pen because I was enraged that this could happen to me or to anyone. And for me, I wanted to do something about it. I just didn't know how, and I didn't know when. But I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Thank you for letting us know what were some of the tools that you used to get out of that situation. And, for those of you listening, I hope that you heard, and I hope that you can, utilize some of these tools if you too are dealing with trauma or a situation where you're trying to figure out how to get out of it. Please re-listen to this and please take her advice, because she's the queen of resiliency and she knows what she's talking about. So, thank you so much for sharing your story, all of the truth, all of the vulnerability. It shows how strong you are, shows how resilient you are, and why it makes sense that you are the resiliency queen. If we can now transition, right? So we've heard about your story and a little bit about your background, but now comes up the reason we're here, right? Economics, business development, activating online business, right? Like what would you say is it that like led you to say, hey, I need to do something different with my life, and maybe online business is a way? Like, can you talk to us a little bit about that? And also, what were you thinking and experiencing in terms of, or rather, better question, what were some of the struggles and problems you were facing when you were like trying to get these ideas out of your head and into the world?
All right. So what happened to me was I had 16 years of hospitality experience. Mm-hmm. And as a area sales manager in 2020, I got a phone call on a Sunday that my position was terminated. And I decided that I was going to enroll in a course with Les Brown. I was going to start speaking to the world. And during that course, I decided I was going to tell my story. I was going to share that journal that I talked to you about, that I had wrote in that notebook. And I just didn't know how I was going to go about doing it. And I knew he would help me with my message. And so then I decided to get another coach, and I worked with John Tallarico. And I realized, okay, he's not a coach that's going to help me with the business aspect. He's going to help me with the mindset part. And then I started working with Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher.
Yep.
And I realized, okay, now I'm going to help people uncover their superpowers. But how am I going to spin this for someone that has been traumatized? I need the business part of this. And then a friend of mine, Pratibha Day, decided that she was going to recommend me to you. And she introduced me to the online business activator, because she said he has so many resources. And I was like, okay, I know he does, right? They all do. And then I met you, and I heard, and I was like, wow, she's right. You have all the resources. When it comes to formulating a speech or being able to do a voiceover or the mindset piece, the helping people see their superpowers and the spirituality side of things. You had all of that along with the business portion. And whether you want to do it retail or you want to do wholesale, if you want to do digital, all of these different varying aspects of how to do business in all these different realms, and you break it down in a way that's digestible. And working with you, that's when I decided, okay, I definitely need to make my book a reality. And I can do that. I can envision that now. This is a real thing. I can actually put an idea together and say, okay, yes, this is for the masses, but this can be mutually beneficial. I don't have to do it to be a sacrifice on my part where there is no benefit, because the value of me sharing my story is what comes back to me because other people have benefited. And so you were able to help me have a whole new paradigm about what this story means to the world. And so I was able to then envision that, okay, this book can be a reality. And on top of this book, I could have journals, and I could have planners, and I could have merchandise, and I can make people feel good in their sweats, and they're choosing joy. And they can be proud of that because we're being resilient. And now I'm flipping this and changing these paradigms. And yes, I'm able to provide for my family, but I have tools and resources that are part of OBA that are allowing me to provide for my family. Like you said, I didn't even realize then that I was being an entrepreneur looking for that resource. And I am so grateful and so honored that I was able to connect with you. And I encourage anyone, if they're on the fence about working with you, to do it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. When it comes to all of the people that I've worked with, Les Brown, Eric Thomas, John Tallarico, Alicia Little, Misty Cogdill. I've worked with a ton of coaches in 2020 and 2021. But when it comes to making the most impact, when it comes to the most value that was provided, that was you. And you know that it was you. You over-deliver. And if I had no other coach and I could only choose one, I would choose you. Because it was all there. So Michael, thank you. When it comes to tools and resources to becoming an entrepreneur, putting a story out there, getting it to market, the marketing piece, the advertising piece, the funnel piece, you take away that mystery of business. And me with 16 years of sales experience, I didn't have the management side where it was the financials, right? But when it comes to financials, you provide so much value to be able to see reports or to even start to think as an entrepreneur and say, okay, these are the reports that I think I would want to pull. And I need to know these metrics about my business. But I've never thought about that before. Or these are the forms that I'm going to need to fill out before I even get started. And he's going to even tell me to pause so I can get it done.
Yeah.
And it's helpful. It's helpful because if you walk through it and you actually do it step by step as you tell everyone, then I can't say there's no way to fail, because you can fail. You can just not do enough.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that the road hasn't been laid. The road is laid there for you. The path is there. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road, the golden brick road. It's like, okay, Michael's telling you how to get to the money. You have the idea, and he's telling you, okay, this is the path that most people take to get to the money. And so every thought, every good business person, they started with an idea and then they took the steps to make it a reality. And what you do is help us to envision what we have in our heads and to bring it into the material world, into our present, and allow it to come out of our heads and into our hands or into reality. Yeah, so thank you.
You are welcome. I received the words, it's very I received those words. I received those words.
Did I even answer that question? I feel like that one was a little all over the place, but I had to get that out. How valuable, how valuable your program, how valuable you are. I appreciate you. And if I never say thank you to Pratiba Day for anything else, thank you, Pratiba Day, for connecting me with Mr. Michael over Deliver Baptiste. Thank you, Michael. I thank God for you.
Yeah. I'm kind of speechless right now. I'm kind of at a loss for words.
No, you're not. You're trying to be humble, but it's okay. You know that you provided all that value. You did the work. You did the work, and thank you. Thank you for putting in the work, because really, what we fail to realize is that as we put the work in for ourselves, yeah, it's helping someone else, but it's helping multiple dreams manifest after us. And kind of goes along with what we spoke about earlier, that the work that we put in helps others, and it has this compounding effect. So why not give more? Why not want to see people succeed? That's what we all envision. Like, okay, maybe not everyone. Let me go back to my story. Not everybody in the world is good, right? But most people do envision a world where they're helping people and that they're seeing other people succeed. And that is definitely you. And
thank you.
I cannot say enough how grateful I am that there is someone like you that is willing to lay out the format and have it available for people. And should it be free? No, it should not be free, because it took work. It took time. It took dedication. And so that has value, because you're laying it out so that people don't have to go and uncover the gems the way you had to.
I just caught chills as you said that. Wow. Yeah, I just caught chills. Wow. You are right. You are right. And I had to take a moment as you were talking to just process what you said, because, you know, for me, like yourself, Christian, I've been through a lot of trauma. And for those watching, I'm not going to take too much time, but for those of you who know my story, you know, I come from the hood. It is what it is. I come from the inner city of Miami, and I made it out and transformed myself. But while I was there, I went through so much that it made me realize, wow, man, like, what if future children didn't have to go through this, you know? And so that was always my thought of, like, you know, one day in life, man, I want to create a food business to help kids that deal with, you know, hunger issues. And now we have a beverage company, you know, that not only do we sell beverage products, but every single month we donate a percentage of all sales and actual like pallets of product to Food for the Poor to feed children. You know what I mean? So like, nice. I always wanted that as a kid, and now I'm an adult and I got a choice. So I create, you know what I mean? So like, I thank you. You know, going through that beverage experience. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, say again.
That's manifestation.
Yes, absolutely. And I didn't even know what I was doing. It's just, I didn't want pain anymore. And so as we were building this beverage company, I looked at it. I'm like, wait, hold on, man. I never built a company like this before. And nobody in my neighborhood is talking about building a company like this before. And in fact, the only Black man I saw build a company like this before, well, I never saw it. Maybe one day I can actually help other people, you know, black, white, brown, blue, green, doesn't matter. Like, colors are colors, right? But I can help people, human beings from around the world, different cultures, all over the globe. I can help human beings. If they want to do something similar, maybe I can help them people out. And so I just share that background about myself and how, you know, what I do came about, because I always think, man, I'm going to benefit regardless of anything. Just being alive, I benefit. But how can other people benefit from me existing right now? So that's how I think. That's how I view the world. And I know not everybody sees it like that. I know it's you know, it's not a common thing. But I just share this because as you were saying what you were saying, I'm sitting here listening and receiving like, wow, man, like all the pain I went through, all of the long nights, the tears, the early days, and ran out of money, the near bankruptcy multiple times with our company, like having to deal with so much. Like listening to you say these things, it's like, okay, all right, it was worth it. That pain was worth it, man. It was worth it. If other people don't have to go through the same levels of pain that I went through, and also they don't have to spend 8 years to figure this out, they can spend maybe 8 weeks, go through the course, get high level information, high value information, and be able to change their life with it, So
Yes.
thank you. I was just receiving, and I was speechless because I'm like, wait, what do I say now? I don't mean, so
Yeah.
thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that.
Yes. And it's amazing because like you can say that and it's your arena is entrepreneurship and business, and my arena is trauma and resilience. And yet, yes, what we're trying to do is condense down that time of pain and discovery so that you can move forward. And we want it to be condensed down so that things are easier. You're able to move forward faster.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of moving forward faster, your situation, it was a slow process, right? It was like years. It took years. But now you're helping people shorten that process of overcoming trauma, recovering from trauma in such a much more swift, faster way. And
Yeah.
I want us to talk about your program. Like, can you tell us a little bit more about your program, about your course, about your book, about what you offer? And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you watching, what she's going to tell you, please go take a look at her website. Go take a look at her offer. Go take a look at her course. And if it makes sense, if it's aligned, take her course, buy her program, buy her book. It's worth the investment. Look, if I'm coming here telling you this, it's for a reason, family. So please tap in. But please share with us about your book and share with us more about your course.
Sure. So the book, again, was called I Choose Joy, an overcomer's guide through a secret journey to detail and expose what it's like to go through a traumatic event and then come out on the other side after making a decision to fight for happiness, to fight for joy, and to live life better, to simply live life better. And so there's mindset hacks, there's different thoughts that I had, and you go through every emotion that I had, whether it was rage or anger, happiness, excitement, all of that is in there. And the frustration of people not understanding what that was like is in there as well. And like I said, 70% of the world goes through a lifetime trauma. So if you're one of the 30% and you don't believe that you have ever gone through a trauma, I still encourage you to get the book and have it ready for someone that you know so that you can support them. And you can find my book and my course on my website. It's KristinBrooke.com, KristinBrooke.com. The course, we're going to change the name, but it complements the book. And so in the course, we start to understand what trauma and resilience looks like. And what I call it is the STARS method. So the first step is called saving ourselves. We have to uncover the fact that when you make a decision to be resilient, that you are your own superhero. And so that first step is realizing that when you make a decision to help yourself, that is really a superpower and that is a strength. So there is no fear, there is no doubt that you're making the right decision when you take the course. The second part of that is T, being tuned in and not triggered. Because as we say the word triggered, it can actually be one. And when we are becoming resilient, we tune into our body and our experiences and the world around us. And so we go through what it means to be tuned in. The third step is acknowledgement of what happened, acknowledgement of our feelings, acknowledgement that it is what it is. What can I do about it now? Because the good news is, as we experience traumatic events, Yes, it could shorten our life, but resilience can lengthen our life. And so, what can we do to lengthen our life? What can we do to rebuild our brain and rewire it to make us healthier and stronger rather than deteriorating ourselves as the trauma did? And we don't want to live in a constant state of trauma. We want to live in that resilient state. We go more in depth with that when we talk about recovery and resilience and what that means. We talk a little bit more about self-care and meditation and breath work in that section. And then we talk lastly about the last S, and it's one of the most important ones. It's called seeking the other side. So we start out with trauma, but what's on the other side is the resilience and the joy and the happiness, the contentment, the love, the gratitude, even that something bad has happened to us that has developed us into a wiser, a stronger person. And so then we are able to live renewed. And so that STARS method, we shoot for the stars. We shoot for the moon, because even if we miss, we'll land amongst the stars. And so that is my STARS method for teaching resilience. And again, resilience and trauma are both body experiences. And so I want people to leave here, Michael, understanding that trauma lives in the body as a feeling, and so does resilience. But one of the key takeaways that I've learned through my ongoing process to become a certified trauma and resilience practitioner is that when we experience trauma, our cognitive brain no longer works. So a stressed brain doesn't work to be able to talk, to be able to make decisions, to be able to function. And so when I say in that moment of me trying to repress what happened to me, that was normal. And so for people that have gone through a traumatic event, it's normal to not know what to say. It's normal to not know what decision to be making. That's normal. It's a sensory response called fight, flight, or freeze. And if it happens enough, we're in a freeze mode. We don't know what to do. We're literally in shock. What resilience does is when you work with me, it allows you to not talk about how you feel, because when you are brought back to your feelings of trauma, there really are no words. So we're able to work with the feelings of resilience and how to get our brains to shift and choose those feelings over the ones that we want to get rid of. So again, the course is on my website, as well as the book, I Choose Joy, An Overcomer's Guide Through a Secret Journey. There are also podcasts that are available on the website as well, so you can learn a little bit more about me, affirmations that I believe in and that I share as tools and tips, and lots of great stuff on the website, KristinBrooke.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it first. Visit KristinBrooke.com. For those of you who are watching this, you will see the links below. But if you're listening to this on the podcast, again, that website is KristinBrooke.com. Go there. You can buy her book. You can buy her course. She's got merchandise. You can purchase her merchandise. Okay. You can even sign up. I'm not sure. Do you offer any type of consultations for people that maybe want coaching? Maybe they want to work with you at a higher level. Do you have anything like that?
I do have coaching options as well on the website. So definitely, if you're willing to put in the work and you want to see this resilience manifest in a way that you are now able to say, I choose joy with me, this is a movement. So we're going to take people that have experienced these traumatic events and build their resilience so that we all deserve to live a life of joy, of happiness, of power, success, and resilience.
Absolutely. We all deserve that. And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you tuning in right now, if you are serious about overcoming what you've been through, trauma, and developing your resilience, get started and work with Kristin. And for those of you who do work with Kristin, I'm gonna do something for you, because I strongly believe in the work of overcoming trauma and helping people develop resilience. For those of you who get started with Kristin, whether you buy her book or you buy her course, if you do it, email me a receipt. Okay, you can email me. You can send us an email. Our email's on our website, highticketfreedom.com. Okay, email me a copy of your receipt. When you do so, I will send you a free gift just for getting started working with her and saying that, hey, I heard about you through Michael Baptiste in the show, the High Ticket Freedom Show, and I want to work with you. If you do that, I'm telling you, I'm going to personally send you a gift for getting started working with her. I mean, come on, it's a win-win-win, because you win, she wins, everybody wins. And I'm going to send you something else for getting started working with her as an incentive. So for those of you who are ready, go to kristinbrooke.com, get started working with her, and tap in with her ASAP. Okay. And so Kristin, like for our
Michael,
sorry.
Let's also remind them to type in High Ticket Freedom for their special discount on the website as well for just listening.
Boom. Perfect. So for those of you who decide to buy from Kristin, please let her know, look, High Ticket Freedom, so that way she knows that you were referred from myself and our team. And yeah, she'll take care of you. And we're also going to send you a gift as well. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You got more incentive to get started helping you with resolving some of that trauma and building up your resilience in your life. So Kristin, like where can we find you? Like where are you at? Are you on social media? Where can we find you online? Give us some of your details.
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook, and the username for both is at Kristin Brooke Official, KristinBrookeOfficial. I'm also on Twitter from time to time. It's at Beauty K Brooke. Beauty K Brooke is the username there. And you can find me on TikTok as well at Kristin Brooke Official. So that's been kind of interesting and fun as well. It's
awesome.
New. It's new for me.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, hey, you're doing it. You are doing it. You're making it do what it do. And for our audience out there, what would be some final words that you can share with the people? Some final thoughts, and at that, what would be a final quote that you leave us with? So I know I just asked you for a lot there, but yeah, final thoughts and a final quote that you like to leave us with.
The final thought that I want to leave everyone with is that if they're listening, they're more than likely an entrepreneur at heart. And it is very critical that as an entrepreneur, that we are able to free our minds to be as creative and powerful as we need to be. And so I encourage anyone that's watching or listening to really build their resilience. Whether you've been through a trauma or not, resilience is key in being able to bounce back. And it is, again, an experience, and you're able to train your mind to help you to get through tough times. And tough times don't last, but tough people do. But that's not the quote that I want to leave you with. My favorite quote is Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. We think to ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, talented, gorgeous, fabulous? But actually, who are you not to be? We were all born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. And so I want to leave you with that and encourage you all to let your light shine and to be powerful beyond measure. Thank you so much, Michael, for this opportunity to speak with you today.
You are so welcome. Truly, it has been a pleasure for me. And I think our audience and everybody listening really is thanking you, because you brought something today that we didn't even know we needed. So thank you, Kristin, for coming on and sharing your time, energy, your story. I mean, wow, the respect has just shot up to even higher levels for you now, knowing more of your story today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome. So ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That is our final quote. Amazing quote, amazing final message. You can follow her on social media, Facebook, Instagram, at Kristin Brooke Official. She's on TikTok, Kristin Brooke Official, and then Twitter. She said her name is
Beauty K Brooke.
Beauty K Brooke. So Beauty K Brooke on Twitter, and visit her website, kristinbrooke.com, to learn about getting started with her book, her courses, her coaching. You can buy her merchandise, and she has other podcasts and great content there on her website. Again, kristinbrooke.com. So with that, thank you so much again, Kristin, for all of your time today.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Yes, you are welcome. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that now brings us to a wrap up of today's show. That brings us to a wrap up of today's session. Please comment your thoughts. What did you think about this episode? What did you think about this show? Please, we'd love to hear from you. And if this episode really resonated with you, I'm going to recommend a few things. Number one, reach out to Kristin Brooke. You got her information. You connect with her. She's awesome. Just connect with her. Number two, please share this episode. Share this. There's somebody out there, you know them. They're in your family. They're in your friend circle. They're in your professional circle, and they went through trauma, but they don't know how to get over it. Share this episode with them. This may change their life, and they will thank you for life. So share this episode with them. And I'm also going to just encourage you, if you got friends out there, if you got family members out there, whoever out there that is dealing with trauma, I'm going to recommend get professional help. And look, we have a professional right here that can help you. So I'm going to recommend that you reach out to Kristin for help in that area of resilience and trauma. And she can either guide you to the other professionals that can help you, or she can help you herself, because she is the Resiliency Queen. So thanks again, everyone. That is it. I will see you on the next episode. Please remember, again, like, comment, tag some friends below, share this, and also subscribe, so you see all of our future posts and notifications first. But that is it. I leave you with this energy of wholeness, high vibrations, and greatness. Take care, everybody. Thanks, Kristin.
Thank you.